With Plan B emergency contraception, we're in control of our future. It's backup birth control you take after unprotected sex that helps prevent pregnancy before it starts. It works by temporarily delaying ovulation, and it won't impact your future fertility. Plan B is available in all 50 U.S. states at all major retailers near you, with no ID, prescription, or age requirement needed. Together, we got this. Follow Plan B on Insta at Plan B One Step to learn more. Use as directed.
Skipping cold and flu season is Plan A. But if you do get sick, be prepared for Plan B with Kleenex lotion tissues. Kleenex lotion tissues moisturize skin, helping prevent the added discomfort of red, irritated skin on top of your cold and flu symptoms. So this cold and flu season, grab Kleenex lotion tissues. Visit Kleenex.com to learn more and buy now. For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex.
Welcome to True Crime Garage. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Nick, and with me, as always, is a man who knows that you better watch your mouth in the TJ Maxx. Here is the Captain.
Yeah, you better watch out because Santa Claus is coming to town. It's good to be seen and good to see you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for telling a friend.
Today, we are drinking Unity by the fine folks over at Love City Brewing. This is an American IPA, 5.5% ABV. This is an approachable IPA, bringing hop lovers together around citrus flavors for a delicious blend. It's low bitterness, a crisp finish, and highly drinkable. We could all use a little more unity in this world. And today we are toasting Unity here in the garage. Garage grade 4 out of 5 bottle caps. And let's give some thanks and praise to our good friends for bringing us together here in the garage today. First up, a shout out to Caroline in Benicia, California.
And a big We Like Your Drip goes out to Danielle in Ellerbe, North Carolina.
Next up, Captain, I love a good international cheers. This goes out to Kevin from Tabor, Alberta.
Cheers, mates. And a big tall cans in the air goes out to Miles in Henderson, Kentucky.
And last but certainly not least, we have a double-fisted cheers to Niels and Amy Swanson in Canandaigua, New York. Everyone we just mentioned went to truecrimegarage.com and helped us out with this week's beer fund. And for that, well, we thank you.
Yeah, BWRUN Beer Run. Make sure you go to truecrimegarage.com. Sign up on the mailing list. And Colonel, I am tired of the business this year, so that's enough of the business.
All right, everybody gather around, grab a chair, grab a beer. Let's talk some true crime.
Kada Scott's father is speaking to CBS News Philadelphia as we now hit the 2-week mark since she went missing. Take a listen.
Things are not good, but we still are positive. Kada is alive and well somewhere, and we're going to get her home. A lot of family and friends and community as a whole wants to participate, do something to help bring Kada home. So we had the idea of going through Alderbury Park.
That community search is set for 5 p.m. tonight there in Northwest Philadelphia. Meantime, the man suspected of kidnapping Scott, Keon King, has been arrested and charged. He is being held on a $250,000 bond.
What I can tell you is that every single effort that can be made to help Kada and her family is being made.
District Attorney Larry Krasner also says that King has a history of similar charges to the ones he is currently facing, including stalking. Krasner went on to urge any other possible victims of Kings to come forward. A prayer vigil was held last night at the senior living facility where Scott was last seen 2 weeks ago.
All hope has been lost. Yes. We have mustard seed faith to believe that Kada will come home. And it's going to happen suddenly.
I do want Kada and her family to know that they're not by themselves.
Now, earlier this week, a phone case, bank card, and glasses believed to belong to Scott were found near Ada Lewis Middle School. Investigators are hoping those items can help lead them to her. Meantime, her family has now upped a reward for credible information. It now stands at $12,000.
Future Miss Pennsylvania USA 2026 contestant Kada Scott, 23 years old, went missing after leaving for her night shift at an assisted living facility in Philadelphia. We will get into the minute-by-minute timeline of what we know about that night in just a moment. But here, let's note here that in the days leading up to her disappearance, Kada Scott had reportedly received threatening messages that she shared this concern, this information with friends and her family. This is from PPD. The Philadelphia Police Department is seeking the public's help in locating a missing person, Kada Scott. The 23-year-old female was last seen on Saturday, October 4th, this year, 2025, at 9:45 p.m. on the 8300 block of Rodney Street. Kada is 5'6" tall, weighs 120 pounds. She has black hair, brown eyes, and a thin build.
She was a Division I athlete.
And you're going to hear the minute by minute will change. It will morph a bit over time as more information came in. But that was their original request from the Philadelphia Police Department looking for this missing young woman. She had recently graduated from Penn State University. She was working as a caregiver and was preparing to compete and hopefully win the 2026 Miss Pennsylvania pageant, which is scheduled for January of next year. Kada Yonda Scott was born on November 18th, 2001 in Philadelphia to parents Kim Matthews and Kevin Scott. As we said, she's a recent graduate and student of the Penn State University. She was just 23 years old at the time of her disappearance, just really starting out her young adult life and potential career after school. Sadly, adding to this tragedy, Kada and her family would have celebrated her 24th birthday just shortly after she went missing. I found many folks all reporting the same, that Kada was a very creative young lady and very close with her family, saying Kada was full of light, creativity, and love. She is also described by family as hardworking and passionate about helping others. She was born and raised growing up and attending local Philadelphia area schools, and then it was off to Penn State University. Her creative passions included fashion and design, which she shared across social media. And her interests and hobbies included actively involved in modeling and beauty pageants, with many referring to her as a Miss USA hopeful. Beyond all of that, and this just makes so much sense to me when I read and hear folks describing her as hardworking, kind, motivated, and ambitious. And what backs those statements up 110% for me, Captain, she was working as an overnight caregiver at the Terrace at Chestnut Hill Senior Living Facility. Now, that's a gig that requires both hard work and kindness.
Yeah.
Shout out to all of those wonderful nurses and caregivers out there. We are very quickly going to find ourselves in the thick of this, right in the muck and the mire, because this very short duration period here, because just weeks before being abducted, Kada Scott starts this new job All reports say she began employment at the Terrace at Chestnut Hill, the assisted living facility in Philadelphia, in September of 2025. I could not narrow it down to an exact date, but a lot of stuff out there saying that it was just approximately 2 weeks before she goes missing, maybe 3 at the most. So immediately here, I'm wanting to know, is there a possible correlation between these two events? Now, compound that with the known concerns before her disappearance of reportedly receiving harassing phone calls or communications from an unknown individual.
Right.
We know this because Kada confides in family that she's been receiving harassing and disturbing phone calls in the days leading up to her disappearance. So let's talk about her work a bit. She'd recently, September of 25, started working at the Terrace at Chestnut Hill Senior Living in Philadelphia. In fact, it's located at 495 East Abington Avenue in Philadelphia, nestled just a short drive from downtown near Germantown. The online description of this facility is the Terrace at Chestnut Hill was built from a charming 19th century stone mansion. And they say our upscale senior living community in Philadelphia offers a compassionate environment of personal care, memory care, and enriching lifestyles for your loved one. Whether inside spacious personal care suites or in one of our beautiful walking gardens, residents are surrounded by people first care in a vibrant senior living community.
Well, a lot of these communities have extensive amount of staff. So whether it's nurses or even security, but one of the problems with this facility, if your parents are there, maybe you should drop a note in the suggestion box for them to get some surveillance cameras.
Yeah, so with this one, it boggles the brain a bit why they wouldn't. These facilities are not cheap to live in. If you are there, like the captain says, look around. If you don't see cameras, and this includes surrounding the outside perimeter of the building and extending into the parking lot, then that location is probably not for you, because we've all seen the silver alerts where somebody has gone off campus and can't be found, and they can't always find their way back. We need some kind of lead, some kind of breadcrumb trail to find that person and bring them back to receive the care that they need and deserve. So a little bit shocking here that is not the case with this facility. As of October of 2025, cameras are so readily available and not as expensive as they used to be. All right, let's get into the night in question. This is a Saturday. It's October 4th of this year. We're going to start at that 9:45 marker that was originally referenced by Philadelphia Police Department. This is when Kada Scott was last seen by her family. From my understanding, Captain, she's living with her family as a young adult, and this is before she goes off to work at the Terrace. So 9:45 p.m., Kada leaves home at the 8300 block of Rodney Street to drive to her job at the Terrace at Chestnut Hill. Her family says she was in good spirits when she left. Work is nearby, so she arrives just a touch before 10 p.m., arriving at work for her overnight shift. Upon arrival, she is assigned to routine duties, job task that she's carried out prior to this night. And coworkers state that Kada appeared normal and calm at the start of this shift. So at 10 p.m. and just a little after, everything is good. Everything is all right. Now, the early reports on this case state that between 10:30 and 10:45 p.m., this is the last known sighting of Kada. She reportedly stepped outside during her shift and never returned, with zero witnesses able to confirm where she went after this time period. Now, Folks out there that have been following this case, with this one, Captain, the city of brotherly love, the home of the tush push, the good people of Philly have been watching, dialed in, and praying for Kada and praying for the family as well. So again, this case moves quickly, and we get some better, more detailed information about the night in question, the night that Kada went missing. So here's what we got. Just after 10 p.m., a co-worker says that they saw Kada Scott outside of the workplace. The co-worker said Kada appeared to be upset about something. She was on her cell phone and was overheard saying, "I can't believe you're calling me about this shit." A short time later, she is allegedly seen walking toward a dark colored vehicle. This vehicle is parked outside the work facility, and she's seen walking toward this vehicle approximately a short time before the vehicle left this area. Then at 10:24, okay, mind you, minutes before this, everything is good, everything's okay, everything's all right, as everyone has reported. At 10:24, this is the time marker when police say that Kada's cell phone stopped all network contact. So at 10:24, Kada Scott's phone goes offline, never to come back online again. It's the next day, Sunday, October 5th, that Kada Scott's mother reported her missing after she failed to come home from work. This is when we quickly learn about her phone stopping all activity the night before. And also we learn that Kada's vehicle was found still in the parking lot of her workplace. So let's run this down here quickly if we can. We got October 4th, Saturday night, 10:30-ish to 10:45, last known sighting of Kada. She reportedly stepped outside during her shift and never returned. No witnesses have confirmed where she went after. We know that Kada does not return inside the facility at any time. Cell phone activity stops at this time. Now, Saturday becomes Sunday. It's 6 a.m. Her work shift ends at this time. She's 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. She does not check out of work. Co-workers notice this. They try to contact her. She doesn't respond to these messages. Meanwhile, her car remains parked in the employee lot and then reported missing. We do know, too, Captain, that later that day, I'm assuming shortly after, this would be the morning of the 5th, her family, they're out searching local routes between her home and the workplace, and they search the work facility parking lot. They find that her keys, her cell phone, and other belongings are missing. Now, exactly what those other belongings are, we've not been informed of that information as of this recording. This, from Jump Street, has got to appear as a likely abduction. And I want that cell phone information, Captain, all of it. PPD gets it, and cell phone records show that Kada received 12 calls from the same number between 9:25 p.m. and 10:12 p.m. And there are some strange text exchanges going on as well.
Well, let me tell you, even though I'm a fan of talking on the phone, that's 12 calls too many.
So at 10:09 p.m., Kada sends a text to someone saying, "CM when you hear." So call me when you're here. At 10:15 p.m., investigators say that Kada's phone and the phone that she is texting, the phone that she's communicating with, those two phones appear together in the parking lot of Kada's place of employment. This based off of the cell phone data.
Yes, again, we have to go off that data because we don't have security cameras on this parking lot.
So that's when, trying to line all these things up, they believe that Kada Scott walked toward a dark colored vehicle that was parked outside of her work. And then that vehicle leaves a short time or immediately after. And we already talked about her being reported missing the next day and her family's efforts of trying to find their daughter and their sister. So to extend that timeline out a little bit further here, let's go to the day after she's reported missing, and in the next day or two. What we have going on is a flurry of activity. We have police that are trying to trace her cell phone activity. They believe they get some information that tells them that the last possible signal might be near this Aubury Arboretum. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more because the information comes out. This is not far from her work. That's what we should note here. And we know that at the same time, the family's organizing searches with members of the community. And officers are busy interviewing coworkers, family, and recent contacts. This is when they're going to learn about not just her cell phone activity, but also the harassing phone calls that she has told others about prior to her going missing.
Yeah, because if we don't have that record, if I'm police and I'm going, okay, this young lady is starting her professional career, but she texts somebody, to basically come here, and then she meets somebody in the parking lot, I don't necessarily think you jump to the idea of abduction or kidnapping. To me, you kind of go, well, did she just go, I worked this job for a couple weeks and I don't like it, I'm leaving?
I get that. For me, her car being there tells me not. And I'm always, maybe I'm damaged goods from doing the show for too long, but when I see an outgoing, attractive young woman in her early 20s disappears from a parking lot and her car's still there, that's unfortunately doing this for so long. One thing that we've seen time and time again is a lot of these perpetrators in abductions and homicides and sexual assaults and rapes, a lot of these perpetrators, where do they fall in the course of their lives when we are talking about them? Oftentimes they're in their 20s.
Right.
There's so many of these bad guys that we've talked about have been in their 20s. And one thing we know that statistics pan out is that oftentimes victims and the perpetrators are similar in age. That's just what the stats say. And so when I see a potential Miss Pennsylvania who goes missing from her place of work and she's receiving harassing phone calls, or at least has told people that.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying if you're law enforcement and you have no knowledge of the harassing phone calls, all that we know is that she came into work. It's not like she's parking her car at 9:50 and on her way into work, she just never made it in. Right. But she made it into work and she had communication with somebody, and then she doesn't come back to work. And my other thing that I'd wonder, and again, I don't think we're privy to this, I don't think this has been released, but you have a worker, and I know that she's a newer worker, but you have a worker that shows up to work. Somebody must have seen her leave and go to the parking lot to talk to somebody. Did they report that after a couple hours of her not showing up? Did they report that to her family? I don't know.
No, these are all very good points. And we do have the problem here is with attempting to deliver all of this information, it's that some of it's coming out and some of it is protected information that's coming out, right? There's a lot to this case, and I feel like there's a lot more that's going to come out in the coming months. And I think you're tapping into something here, Captain. We do know, per the words of investigators, that there was some form of eyewitness in that parking lot that at least places Kada there. We do know that somehow between communications of her work and her family that she's fairly quickly reported as missing. And we do know that coworkers did take notice that she didn't check out when her job ended at 6 a.m. on that morning.
One, to your point about her car being there is a bigger issue when when she doesn't come back the next day or at the end of the shift, her car is still there.
But the big question mark that we have to be circling around is something that you pointed out. She wasn't abducted on her way into work. Nobody attempted to abduct her at her home where she left. She's abducted after willingly leaving the building. She may not have willingly left the parking lot, but something got her to go outside. And that's where this communications and the cell phone information is so interesting in this case, because what it does is it not only points to the person very likely responsible for why she left that parking lot, but it also brings up a lot of questions as to why she was meeting this person or would have gone out to the parking lot in the first place. Sling is changing the way live TV works by putting viewers in charge of their entertainment. Sports, entertainment, and news can all be tailored without unnecessary extras. Pay only for the months when TV is actually needed and skip the ones when it's not. I love only paying for stuff when I want it and when I need it with TV. I'm a big football guy. I absolutely need access to my favorite sports channels during the football season, but I don't even really need a TV when football is out of season. Sling gives me that option. And then once in a while, maybe I want to dive in and binge watch something and it's not during football season. I can sign up for the day pass or maybe the weekend pass for 3-day viewing. Choose and customize your channel lineup or pause and watch for free. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
Don't let overpriced phone bills suck the joy out of your holidays this year. Right now, all of Mint Mobile's unlimited plans are 50% off. You can get 3, 6, or 12 months of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. As you can tell, I'm sick. But what I'm sick of is these big wireless companies charging an arm and a leg and saying that it's a premium service. Not with Mint Mobile. You get high quality wireless service at a fraction of the price. I switched to Mint Mobile. I'm saving a little over $100 per month. Turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings future by switching to Mint. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/TCG. That's mintmobile.com/TCG. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required, $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra, initial plan term only, over 35 gigabytes may slow when network is busy, capable device required, ability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. If you want to save money but still get great quality wireless service, check out mintmobile.com/TCG today.
The home stretch is here, and when you're crossing names off of your holiday list, you can't forget about your pet. Lucky for you, Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. This holiday shopping season, Chewy is giving us a gift. Huge savings up to 40 or even up to 50% off. Daily deals, BOGOs, and so much more. Not just for dogs and cats, but for birds, fish, reptiles, and more. I absolutely love Chewy. I've been shopping at Chewy.com well before this podcast even started. Why? Because I save time and money with Chewy.com. I have dogs that need a certain diet. I have to drive far away to find this food. Not anymore. Chewy delivers right to my door, saving me all kinds of time. It's so convenient, and their selection is amazing. Don't forget gifts for your pet this holiday season. Go to chewpanions.chewy.com/TCGNIC to get $20 off your first order. That's chewpanions.chewy.com/TCGNIC to get $20 off your first order. chewpanions.chewy.com/TCGNIC. If you could stop somebody from breaking in before they got inside, why wouldn't you? Most old school systems go off after someone's already in your place. That's too late. Simply Safe is different. It's proactive with a double layer of defense that stops crimes before they even start. First, AI-powered cameras spot potential threats outside. Then, live agents step in, talking to the person through the camera, letting them know they're on video, and police will be dispatched if they do not leave. They can even trigger a loud siren or spotlight. There are no long-term contracts with Simply Safe or hidden fees. I love my Simply Safe security system. I believe it's the most complete and most comprehensive system for your home out there on the market today. I have what they call the 8-piece security system. You get a base station, key fob, keypad, motion sensor, entry sensor, glass break sensor, and it's all for a very, very affordable price. I'm actually amazed at how great the price is. You can install this yourself, or if you wish, you can hire someone to professionally install it. But let me tell you, I installed mine. You can install yours. You're going to love your security system. This month only, take 50% off any new system. This is one of the best prices you will ever see for Simply Safe. Don't miss it. Hit simplysafe.com/garage. Again, that's simplysafe.com/garage and lock in your discount. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
All right, we are back, you filthy animals. Keep the change. Tall cans in the air. Cheers to you, Colonel.
That's right. Take those cool, cold 16-ounces and raise them high, my friends. Cheers to everybody out there and happy holidays. During the days of October 6th through the 9th, it's got to be the cell phone activity that's and the talks with interviewing coworkers, family, and others, learning of this harassing communications that's going to lead up to a big marker in this timeline, because a big marker is 10/10/25. October 10th, 2025, Philadelphia police, they have canine units involved. They're conducting a large-scale search in East Germantown. This area here, there's kind of a lot compacted into this larger area. So we have a middle school that is no longer in operation, and there's a rec center in this area as well. I believe there's also a high school, but the high school and the rec center are still active. They're out there searching this area. There's wooded areas around all of these buildings as well, and these structures. They're searching, and the result, what we're told here, is that even after expanding the search to surrounding wooded areas, that they come away with, look, we found nothing of evidentiary value here. Yeah. It's interesting to me, though, because we keep circling around the cell phone information, and it's been reported that this area was searched based off of cell phone data. Part of that is the statement that the last known signal came from this general area. So here's where we have a couple of thoughts, right? If you want to put in your speculation here, why would her phone go to this area? Couple reasons. We know it's missing from the parking lot. We know it's missing from her car. This could be, when you go out to search this place, you're wondering, could this be a dump site? Or you don't find anything, and now you have to be wondering, is this a transfer spot? Is she being handed off? Or is she being moved in some form or fashion, and this location plays a role in the movement of this victim? By this time, the families, they're begging for help. They are distributing missing persons flyers citywide. The case does spread. The news of this case spreads pretty quickly.
Yeah.
We don't live, I mean, we live in a neighboring state, but we heard about her missing rather quickly. And because of this news, we have the media that's on this case, and the police, the homicide detectives at the time, missing persons detectives, PPD, are simply saying it's an ongoing investigation. But I'm a little curious about this because we have others getting involved, right? This is a missing persons case. What tells me that they believe, or they have information telling them that this is an abduction, is that we get the homicide unit from Philadelphia involved in this case. And this is just days after they give up the search, or a day after they give up the search at that area that we were talking about. And they go on to say that evidence suggests to them that Kada did not leave that parking lot voluntarily.
Yeah, and I think the speculation is if they have cell phone data and we have two cell phones that are connected and then one goes offline, well, why did that go offline? And like you said, it's not found in the parking lot, it's not found in her car. And so you can then track the movements of the second cell phone of the individual that she met to try to figure out other locations, because we don't have any surveillance footage to tell us who that person is, but we have digital forensics that tells us who that person is, or at least who owns that cell phone.
This is where the case gets complicated. I mean, we've seen the complications already, but we got to be clear here. It's weird because we have the homicide unit gets involved, officially joins the investigation. However, police maintain that the case is active and ongoing, and they do not declare it a homicide at the time. Then the following day, the Philadelphia Police Department announces that they arrested a man in connection with Kada Scott's disappearance. They state that they arrested a young man, Keon King, age 21, and they're booking him on kidnapping charges connecting him to Kada's disappearance.
This guy seems to be a dirtbag. I mean, he has, I believe, kidnapping charges that were filed against him, and I think maybe assault charges or domestic violence charges against him. But those charges were all dropped because the victim didn't show up to court to testify. My question is, well, is that victim still with us?
And we'll get into that in just a second here, because on this date, we learned that he, or can believe based off of police and investigator statements, they're saying King was in communication with Kada in the days before she went missing. Okay, so it's not a big leap to suggest that he's the guy that was harassing her.
Right.
And then they recover a 1999 Toyota Camry that has damage to the front end of this vehicle. And it's believed that this vehicle is linked in some manner to the case. Also, on the day of his arrest, we have investigators that are out searching again. This time they are at that abandoned middle school that I had talked about and referenced earlier. This is the Ada Lewis Middle School. This is near that arboretum.
Yeah, you want to talk about a very spooky area to be taken to. You wonder, like you said, is it a transfer area or is it a place that people go to because it's a well-known but a big public space that's abandoned? These are types of places that people go to commit criminal activity.
When they're out there searching this area, we learn that physical evidence was recovered in this general area. Some reports stating that it was personal items belonging to Kada Scott. Now, that same day, bail is set at $2.5 million for this Keon King. He's charged with kidnapping, but states that there could be related pending charges. We get the FBI that joins the investigation. By now, the family's got to be terrified. It's been almost 2 weeks since she was last seen, and you got a guy in custody booked on kidnapping charges, kidnapping Kada Scott charges, and no Kada Scott.
Yeah.
Terrifying stuff.
And if we believe that digital forensics, he was located in an area that, like I said, is very scary area.
This vehicle was recovered from a condominium complex not terribly far away, I guess. Gypsy Lane condominiums.
But it wasn't recovered fully, right?
Here, let's dive into this Keon King's timeline, because this is the scary stuff that's coming out about this guy while she is still missing. So we learn very quickly that in January of this year, of 2025, Keon King was accused of kidnapping and strangling a woman. So this is kidnap with assault. And as the captain pointed out, charges were eventually dropped. The victim thankfully survived the attack, but did not appear in court. So charges dropped. We should point out here, too, that kidnapping with strangulation was just sort of the tip of the iceberg here. There was a lot of charges, and we see this a lot of times in cases, so it's not completely unheard of, where they will charge someone to the full extent, and then you may see those charges morph a bit. But there was a lot of assaults, and there was something in there that I found to be weird. One of the charges stemming from that January kidnapping was something of terroristic nature, threats of terroristic nature.
And especially this crazy world we live in today, it's like we should take all these, whether they're online threats or they're text message threats, we should take them as serious as possible. And again, this victim doesn't show up, so the charges are dropped. Begs the question of why? Why did she not show up? I don't think it's because this event didn't happen. We have proof of some of this event. I think what's more likely is this individual was probably harassed herself. She was kidnapped. She was strangled. You could argue it. I mean, strangulation, it's attempted murder more so than assault. So why didn't she show up? I think it's more likely because that she's either being harassed or threatened in order not to show up.
That could stem from those threats of terroristic nature, right? Because what that implies to me, what that tells me is when you're charging him with that at the same time as the kidnapping, as the assault, as the attempted murder, that means those threats occurred prior to or at the same time as that attack. The terrifying thing here, Captain, would be he may have terrorized this victim and then later made good on those threats. And that may have scared the shit out of this person so much so that when it came time to go and face their accused, they could not do that. They physically couldn't bring themselves to, they were too scared. The other thing here that I have a suspicion in is that there is somebody else, there's more than one party involved in that attack. And there's everything to suggest to us that whatever exactly happened to Kada Scott, that there was another person involved with this situation as well. So we're going to go to the night before. So let's go the day before Kada is last seen. So this would be October 3rd. It's a Friday. And we learned that a 2008 black Hyundai Accent was stolen. And this was not a violent carjacking. This was simply, there was a food delivery driver, left the vehicle unattended, running. Somebody saw an opportunity, hopped in the vehicle, and drove off. What we do learn is that this is the vehicle, or at least police say that they believe that this stolen car, this Hyundai, was used to meet up with Kada Scott the following night. And then we get court documents that are going to come out. That is the one good thing that we have here in the reporting of this story, is that when you have an arrest, you get some court documents and you can review them, and it fills in some of these gaps for us. So the court documents reveal text messages between Kada Scott and this Keon King from September 28th to October 4th. Remember, the 4th is the day that she disappeared. And they say on the 4th at 10:07 p.m., according to an affidavit of probable cause, that Kada allegedly texted Keon King, "Kidnap me again," to which he replies, better be up to. And then we don't get the details here, but they state in this document that this was followed up by plans to meet later that night. And then documents revealed that the last text exchange occurred. That was the one that we reported earlier. CM, when you hear.
Yeah, so call me when you're here. But she texts him, kidnap me again.
That's what the reports are.
That's very strange.
This is one of those cases where we feel very compelled to report on this and very compelled to talk about this. But when you start getting into it, I referenced the muck and the mire earlier, and that's what this one is. It gets a little dicey on the details here, and I feel like we're walking a dangerous tightrope of what the hell does that mean, kidnap me again? And there's other reports out there, too, that state that she might not have been fully aware of who she was talking with. There's rumor out there. I should say rumor. Rumor would be a better term to use. The rumor out there is that this guy might have been able to disguise his phone somehow. Again, we need to learn why, if this was some kind of meetup, why they were meeting up, one. Two, what we do know from the witness, let's go to the witness, because the witness in the parking lot says that Kada appeared to be agitated. She appeared to be upset, and her words that she overheard Kada say is, "Oh, you're going to call me about this shit?"
Yeah, I think the tough thing, too, is I don't think we're privy to all the harassment texts before. And I don't think we're privy to the exchanges. And this is where it gets very complicated, because you could have somebody harassing you, like you get a random message from some unknown number. Well, you might never reply. So then therefore there's no interaction. But sometimes if somebody starts sending you this threatening nonsense, you might eventually think, well, maybe if I say, "Hey, who is this? What is this about?" that maybe you can figure out why this person is contacting you. Do they know it's you that that they are contacting? And so I've seen online where people jump to these speculations of, well, there's sometimes that she's being harassed and sometimes where she's replying. Well, just because she's replying doesn't mean she wasn't being continually harassed. And so her replying to this individual could just be simply, "Stop texting me," or "Leave me alone." And for all we know, again, no evidence of this, but we don't know how well she knew this individual. We don't know how well she knew King, right?
Or if she knew him at all.
If she knew him at all. Exactly.
Look, so I want to try to push on through the online speculation, because I don't think it's helpful in this case, especially when we're, as you pointed out, not privy to the details. And we're not going to be for good reason until this investigation's able to take the next steps that I think it's going to take. So let's say one thing here, because I've seen some say like a reaction to that kidnap me again as being some kind of that indicator that they know each other or that they were acting something out. I've also seen speculation that there might have been some kind of drug deal that might be happening. People are doing their best to try to sort out why she would willingly walk out of the building and then maybe not willingly leave that parking lot. And that's a big question mark in this whole case. But can you imagine? Let's pretend here for a minute, because what we will learn and what we do absolutely know about this case is you're going to have a bad guy. I think there's multiple bad people involved, and you're going to have a victim. One thing we know for certain is Kada Scott is a victim. So let's try to put ourselves in the shoes of the victim. That's the best thing that we can do to try to help our victim at this time when we're going to speculate what's going on. Can you imagine if you get a text from somebody that you don't know or you do know, and they say, "I'm going to kidnap you again"? It's not unheard of that the person would reply, "Kidnap me again?" ?
Well, and some people don't put
punctuation.
Exactly. I mean, That's very possible.
Here in the garage, we don't even speak with punctuation.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Ron Burgundy. So
But here's where we're at in the story, though.
Yeah.
This young girl starting her career goes to her place of employment. She's being harassed for weeks. She goes to meet somebody in the parking lot. She's now missing for over 2 weeks. That's a crime scene. Her work parking lot is a crime scene. But on top of that, we have indication that they went, or whoever she was with, went to this abandoned elementary school. So now we're searching there with canine dogs. We have FBI all involved, but I think they get a tip from somebody because, like you said, whether it's one perpetrator, two perpetrators, or a gang of perpetrators, I think somebody started talking and then somebody relayed that information to law enforcement.
That's what the reports are. Here's what's fascinating about the investigation to me is that it's the cell phone information. As soon as they figure out, we shouldn't say who, we should say what phone. As soon as they are able to figure out what phone Kada Scott's phone is communicating with, that's going to tell them everything. Is that same phone that she's communicating with at the last known time that she is seen? Is that the same phone that's communicating with her during these harassing and concerning communications that she's getting that she notified her folks about, her family about, and her friends about? So right away, whether or not once you figure out that phone, now we're going to track the movements of that phone prior to Kada going missing and after her going missing. So what we are going to learn here is they know a lot about this phone before they ever know what happened to Kada Scott. This phone tells them that, the same phone that pulled up in the parking lot to meet Kada the night she went missing is also in the same location where a vehicle the night before was reported as stolen. Well, that's interesting. Now we know we're looking for two things. We're tracing a phone, and now we want to track that Hyundai that was stolen as well. So between the phone information and the Hyundai information, they're going to go to all local businesses, Ring doorbell cameras, Simply Safe cameras. They're going to go and pull any information they can in the surrounding area of this facility where Kada Scott works. And what the information is going to tell them is, hey, we're now tracing a dark colored vehicle that is similar to this Hyundai, and we're tracing this phone. So using cell phone technology, investigators figure out that Keon King, he's staying or living, it's a little murky on the details here, in the 5500 block of Belmar Terrace. Then they learn that shortly after the time that Kada leaves that parking lot, a dark colored vehicle matching, similar in description to that Hyundai, is seen on surveillance camera footage pulling into that recreation center parking lot across the street from this abandoned Ada Lewis Middle School.
And because of that information is why they did the initial search.
And then we have King's cell phone that is tracked taking multiple trips from that Belmar Terrace address and the area surrounding that vacant Ada Lewis Middle School. Multiple trips. This on Sunday, October 5th. Let's go to 11:39 p.m. that night. A vehicle similar to a Toyota Camry, this is a gold 1999 Toyota Camry that is registered, police say is registered to Keon King, is seen on video pulling into the parking lot near where the dark colored vehicle was parked the night before. They say that two people exit this vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 hours later, two individuals appear to take a large object, which news reports say consistent with a body,
looks like
out of the passenger side of that vehicle. Unfortunately, and the captain's absolutely right. The details on this, we don't know, but the statement is that unfortunately on October 18th. So remember, they were in this area searching for a bit on the 10th, and expanding that search on the 11th, 12th, and 13th per reports. But they're back in this general area on October 18th. And it's that morning, following an anonymous tip that it's been reported came from the public. Investigators are now searching a wooded area that is behind that abandoned Lewis Middle School, located near the Arboretum that we've referenced. And they found a shallow grave. So you find disturbed earth, and now you start digging. They recover the remains of a female. They report immediately that it's a female. They stop short of saying that it's Kada Scott, but later the medical examiner and staff will confirm that unfortunately it was the body of Kada Scott.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder what that tip was. I mean, even if the tip was just, hey, I know you guys search this area, but either you got to search here or search there. But like you said, if we have surveillance that puts two individuals, now we're not, you can arrest King all you want, but there's another individual involved. And then it makes you wonder who gave this tip. And also, is there more than two people involved?
And how many people were involved in the actual murder? Right? Because we know that somebody's involved in helping move the body.
Right.
How many were involved in the actual murder? So in the following days, the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office report that Kada Scott's cause of death was ruled a homicide, and this was from a gunshot wound to the head. No further details on that. This domino effect is Keon King is charged with first-degree murder and additional charges, which are robbery, abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence, theft, and criminal conspiracy. Criminal conspiracy.
Yeah, this is a difficult one because it seemed like she had a bright future ahead, and you don't know if this person forced their way into her life or if she, met this individual and he did a con job on her. You don't know.
And you had referenced earlier that the complications with some of the vehicle information here. So while all this is going on, and prior to finding Kada's body in that shallow grave in the wooded area, it's October 7th that firefighters are responding to a vehicle fire in the middle of the night. This is in the small hours of the morning. They recover this vehicle, and the burned out vehicle was identified as that stolen Hyundai that the delivery driver had reported stolen. And this was ruled an arson.
Right. So let me try to piece this all together. We have evidence that probably links this cell phone to King. King is then linked to the stealing of this car, or in that area of where the car was stolen. Then we have him linked to meeting her in the parking lot. Then we have him linked to going to this, let's just call it an educational facility where we have multiple buildings, but we have one abandoned building. Then we have this surveillance footage that puts that stolen car in that area with two individuals moving something that looks like a body. We do a search, we find nothing, and then somebody gives us a tip. Good for that freaking person. Because how many people are sitting on information that could solve a case that just never come forward? And I understand that some people could be scared, but this individual, again, don't know who it was, but they did the right thing. They told the police, search again. So they search again, we find the body, but we also find the car that was stolen. Somebody lights it on fire. Why did they light it on fire? To get rid of evidence. And now we have him sitting in jail with a mountain of charges, and I'm guessing that they're getting a mountain of evidence to mount a case against this son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's the dots that we need connected here obviously are who phoned in this anonymous tip, who was assisting in moving Kada's body. I'm really curious too. I think that everything here is telling me that unfortunately she was killed rather quickly. fairly shortly after this abduction because of all the movements that we believe Keon King is up to. And remember, it's easy to look at this and go, well, she's not found until the 18th and she goes missing on the 4th. There's
Right.
2 weeks that go by. But the movements here tell me that this probably all happened very quickly. Remember, we have the vehicle that was used. We have the vehicle arson on the 7th.
Right.
And then we have police searching that home connected to Keon King, that Belmar Terrace home. They're searching that place on the 9th. Okay. And so here's what the report is. A search of this house turns up contractor bags, a hammer, and ammunition were found. I did find a single report that says that a card belonging to the victim and a phone case were found. So
we have some forensic evidence connecting her just to his house.
Correct. And I don't know if that, we have to kind of circle back to that report prior of being told that some of her personal items that were not identified that were found prior, if this is just kind of one report morphing into the other. But what we do know that what goes along with this search, when they recovered these contractor bags and a hammer and other items, they do take, there's 2 women that are living there. They take both of these women that live there. They're detained. They bring them in, they interview them extensively, but they are released. Okay. They did seize phones, a tablet, gloves, contractor bags, a hammer, and 9mm ammunition is the report. Both of these women give statements referencing phone calls to Kada Scott and from the suspect's devices.
Right.
But this is one that the police are still asking for the public's help because, as said, clearly somebody else is involved in this. We know that King is booked. We don't know if he's talking. If he is talking, how much is he saying?
Right.
There's a report that authorities are investigating a video posted to TikTok that may be connected to Kada's disappearance.
Can't we just go back to people posting their freaking salads that they're eating?
Or kittens. I loved it when it was kittens, and I'm not even a cat guy.
When it was just all cat videos. Well, Puka not Hada, old Luca Magnata ruined cat videos for everybody. But these cases that are happening and that are unfolding in the public as we speak, they are interesting to cover. They do create some challenges, though, right? We only know so much. There's only so much released, and obviously, whether he makes a deal or he goes to trial, this old shit king, we're going to learn a lot more information about what happened and the details of this crime.
Yeah, this guy here is king of the shit pit.
Old shit king.
Currently, the situation sits at the time of this recording, that there was supposed to be some form of preliminary hearing in mid-November. The defense counsel has asked for a continuance. And from my understanding, Captain, this will be February 2nd when Keon King is due to return to court. And I'm hoping and praying that between now and February 2nd, that we can find out more information, who else has been involved, and what other details can the police and investigators uncover between now and then.
I want to thank everybody so much for joining us here in the garage, keeping us company, drinking a cold one with us, telling your mother, telling your brother. Make sure you subscribe. And Colonel, do we have any recommended reading for the beautiful listeners?
This recommendation was inspired by a little garage talk from last week when the microphones and the recording was not running. So this week we are recommending to you Acid King. Teenager Richard Casso Jr., also known as the Acid King, killed his friend 17-year-old Gary Lowers in Northport, New York back in 1984. Ricky Casso bragged about the murder to friends. Casso also claims Satan manifested in the form of a black crow after the killing. He interpreted this to suggest that Satan approved of the murder. Acid King is a great book by longtime friend of this show, Jesse P. Pollock, and also a 2021 film based on Pollock's book. Go to Apple TV where you can rent or buy Acid King for just $1 or $2. You can find that recommendation and many more on our website, truecrimegarage.com.
And until next week,
be good, be kind, and don't litter.
Hey there, it's Katie Nolan, host of Casuals, the sports podcast where we don't care how much you know about sports, we're just happy that you're here. Every week, I hang out with some of my good friends to discuss the biggest stories across sports and entertainment, but in a way that's like fun and not boring. Want to know Sue Bird's favorite Diana Taurasi story? Or how heavy the Larry O'Brien trophy is? Or even what baseball team is right for you based on your moon sign? We got you. Listen to Casuals every Tuesday and Thursday on the SiriusXM app or wherever you get your podcasts.